Superstitions. I wish we had the Stevie Wonder song playing, but we haven't bought the rights for that. But
No.
But there are superstitions at the craps table, and if you don't know them, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. So that's why you need to watch this episode.
Welcome to the Color Up Podcast. Whether you're a seasoned player or a beginner eager to step up to the table, this is your lucky podcast that's all about the thrill and strategy of the casino world. I'm your host, Jeremy. With me is Jim the Professor. Let's get rolling. Yeah, we don't quite have the budget yet for licensing music. No. Yeah, I know it's it's been a political talking point recently, they didn't buy the song or whatever, but yeah. So how's this week going for you, Jim?
Hey, it was a great week. We're back to school, second week of school, and tomorrow will be the third week, back to school night coming. We had our first home football game victory. And life is very good. We clobbered them 51-7, so a lot of fun.
Well, speaking of football, I just found out. We got to bring it up because it is the start of the NFL season.
It is.
Both of us have teams. A lot of people might know that I'm a Cleveland Brown fan, and that did not turn out too well. But for some reason, you're a Miami Dolphin fan?
Miami Dolphin fan, right?
But you're a Virginia guy, I thought.
That's true.
Born and raised?
Born and raised. And in fact, living in the same house I grew up in. This is not part of a whole $100 million retro job. This is the original paneling that's in here. But yeah, no. And the reason why is because one of my friends found out when I was like 7 or 8 that you could write to a team, NFL teams, and they would send you pictures of the team and send you some swag, basically. And I did, and Miami was the first one to send it back to me. And somewhere around here, maybe up here in this attic, is a Super Bowl autographed picture. I don't know by who, which players, but anyway, of the Miami Dolphins. I can't remember if it was the year they won them all or the year they didn't win them all, but just won it. So, but yeah, I need to find that. That's pretty cool.
So yeah. First team respond to you, and they became your favorite.
Number one.
Impressionable young mind. So, yeah, I lived in Southwest Florida, and so for 20 years, and so I'm very well aware. That was the local team, was the Miami Dolphins, and so I followed them as best I could. I guess they're almost like a second team for me because of that, I guess. But yeah. So. They won today.
They did. For those of you who don't know, you're allowed to wager on the games. In
they
some
call
states.
That sports betting.
Sports betting, and
okay.
Depending on which professor you're talking to, it's a sure thing. You can get an edge on that, right? But the Dolphins did not cover the spread, nor did they score on enough points to go on the over, which some people might have bet $10 on each one of those and did not win.
So if I paid for Jim the Professor's picks, it didn't work out too well this week. That's what you're telling me.
That's why we don't have a Jim the Professor podcast.
The hot picks, sports picks hotline with Jim the Professor. We don't, not yet, not until we have you got to have one winning season, and then you could promote it like. He won 70%. Just
there you go.
$100 per pick, and
I love the optimism.
All right, let's jump into the theme of today, which is all about superstition.
Superstitions, yeah. We've got a lot of them at the craps table. So, you want to go with some of the history and what thought about it?
It's a huge part of the game.
It is.
I haven't really thought about the history of it, so maybe you can fill me in on that.
So, as long as we've had people, and it goes back to the ancient times, whatever culture, and each culture kind of had their own superstitions, and it was a way of processing information. Usually the superstition happened around a big event. So if there was some big calamity that happened, they said, when the moon was this, that's when the bad thing happened, or that's when the good thing happened, or whatever. And it's just a way of, again, interjecting that you have some control or you have some insight to random events that you really don't. But yeah, that was what they were originally on that, and they've just grown from there, and they're in all areas of life, and it's kind of neat. Each culture has their own superstitions, and
Yeah.
so. But yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell on the superstitions there.
So, I mean, obviously, it's not unique to craps or anything. It's all throughout life. And then, but for whatever reason, it's why is it so much? Why is it such a big part of gambling?
I think.
When it comes down to luck and that sort of thing, I guess is
the psychology of it. You can kind of get into that about the different biases and things, and it's just a way of like cognitive bias is a way of us like simplifying information and kind of putting it toward other reasons. It's looking for patterns basically, and it's a way to kind of say that, hey, here it is, and it's their perception. It's a perception of kind of an input. But yeah, it's got nothing to do, but it's just the way we process it and make it simple, and then said, okay, here we go. So it makes a norm, or we rationalize the random event because we need to have that control.
I know you somewhat. You're not a very superstitious guy.
not too. No, not very superstitious at all.
But do you have any superstitions? Especially, let's get down to it, to the brass tacks. We're going to focus on superstition and craps for the most part here today.
Sure.
As a dice player, what do you got as far as superstitions, if any, do you think? And we can go through the list of...
Sure, no. I like the idea of the new player at the table. That's intriguing to me. Beginner's luck, if you will. I will throw, some money on the ATS if it's somebody new up there.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not an ATS player, but if it's a new player?
If it's a new player, if I get up, I'll play the ATS, or if it's, with my buddies, that kind of thing. But yeah, if it's a new person, because I've seen it 3 times, and when it happens, it's just amazing. They don't know what they're doing, and, they walk away, they roll, 35 times, hit every number, and they walk away with $27, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't know how to bet. So
yeah, it happened for me. I told my story. I didn't know what I was doing. I did so well. I got tipped. I think a black chip or whatever. But
that's pretty good. Yeah, but yeah, that's mine. I don't really have.
That's a big one.
I do honor other people's superstitions at the craps table, because like you said, it is such a social game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a bunch of them. Oh,
what do you mean? What do you mean? How do you honor them?
Well, I respect them.
You just don't make fun of them whenever they're doing something silly.
No, I don't do that. It's just like the other things. I don't spit into the wind. I don't pull on the
Superman's
cape.
Okay.
I don't mess with Leroy Brown or whatever. But I'm telling you, it's good for the karma. It's good for the fun of the table, and it's just unnecessary conflict or drama that you're creating over there.
Yeah, we can have the listeners kind of chime in if they want and give us some superstition, but I definitely think we should go down the list of the superstitions that we're aware of. And some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. But I could start off with a couple, or maybe we can go back and forth.
Okay.
A big one that I am aware of is dice off the table. So
it bounces, one or both dice go off the table.
Yeah.
And what are the first words you hear out of a lot of people?
Same dice.
Same dice.
Right.
So to me, that means the magnets are getting weak, and you got to get.
Oh, I didn't think about the magnet aspect. Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting to me. Like, and I know I've ran across people that also go the opposite way, and they're like, "Well, I don't want those dice because they went off the table, right? Who knows what they could have picked up on the floor or swapped out? So they're like, give me a new die." So yeah, whenever the dice go off, it's always same dice.
Or what's the other thing you hear?
No dice. And then the other thing is turn my bets off. Or at least for the next roll,
one
because
roll. One roll.
If the dice go off the table, it brings the 7. It just
and then you see it, and then see
Yeah.
there.
You go, yeah, every time, right?
Yeah, that one can go on either way. So
What do you got?
next one was dealer won't push out a 7 to the shooter.
Yeah, I think when you said honoring, you honor other people's superstition. I think the casino to a degree does that too, because they're trained. If the dice are on a 7 or they land, or they're trying to scoop them back,
I don't
and they
even think they'll
tumble.
give you a craps number, right? I've never gotten a 1 and a 2 on a dice.
Yeah, maybe not. They usually try to push it back as the point, or flip it over to a good number. But it might be craps too. But they definitely, if they see a 7, it's like hit it with the stick, flip it over before they push it back to you. So, I mean, I guess that's because of the players have probably hounded them so much. It's almost it's like a universal rule at casinos. I've never been to a casino where they didn't try to get it off that number.
No, I haven't either. But I haven't played nearly as long as you guys have. But it's just a common thing, and it's just accepted. It's a practice, I guess you'd say, on that one.
Yeah, I know another one is respecting the shooter, and usually it's whenever they've got a decent roll going, is like, don't touch that person, don't talk to them, it's like that guy's in the zone or bubble, or like,
it's kind of like in baseball when the guy's throwing a no, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just leave the guy alone, which as far as superstitions go, I mean, it makes sense, I guess. He's trying to do his thing and focus, but
now, but do you clap and say, "Come on, shooter," when somebody's on a big roll?
Yeah, I guess I do. So I mean, where do you draw the line? Is that just, should we hush like in golf, like, or?
I've seen it go both ways. I've seen people clap and yell, and they're really excited, and then I've seen other people, like, I think the closer you are to the shooter.
That kind of makes sense. Yeah, the guy directly to his left or right have to quiet,
like
and
a
then
football game. Let's go, man!
Just smacking him on the head. Come on, give me a good roll.
Help me out. So not talking to him. This is one you had on the list here: cocktail interference.
Well, that's kind of related. Usually to the shooter, but the cocktail waitress comes around. I don't know why people say this. It's like, we were in the middle of the roll. Why would she come in, ask for drinks? It's like, that's her job, and you want drinks.
Also coincidence. Coincidence is a big thing.
Yeah, she said. She said, anyone here need drinks? And then as soon as daggone it, the roll ended. I hate that. Right, so you hear that a lot,
that one happens a lot.
It is weird that people say that, but I don't. That's that one. I can't. It's hard for me to believe that anyone is. I can't believe in coincidence enough to let that one go. Like that, they really think.
When is it? I mean, the waitress is supposed to time when the puck's off.
Yeah.
Or whatever. The shooter's always shooting. I have to go walk down the line on the other side of the table.
Apparently, she's got to time it when the puck goes off. Come on. Just like the next one on the list is a mid-roll buy-in, right? You shouldn't be throwing your cash on the table. Just wait for the puck. Why can't the cocktail waitress wait for the puck to go off?
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
You got to get her while you got her.
Exactly, because depending on where you're at, I mean, it might be another 30, 40 an hour.
Yeah, and then sometimes they never come back. That's why I always try to tip them ahead of time, so that way they
come back.
Feel guilty. No, you think they come back, but at least feel guilty if they don't. It's like, hey. So usually they pretend to write it down and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm guessing when the 7 rolls and everyone's like, "Come on, lady," or I guess there's gentleman cocktail waiters too. I'm sure they're probably not going to be excited to come back around that table.
no, either one, male or
but
female.
mid-roll buy-in,
that's a big one.
What are your thoughts on that?
So I never do it. I never do it once I learned about it, and actually when I was learning the game, I was told not to do that. Wait till the puck's off. It was probably in one of your videos. And I just started off that way, and I just kept to it. And it just slows the game up. And if you're on somebody's on a long roll, it's a common courtesy. Now, the casinos will always take your money.
Yeah, sure.
They will stop the game. They don't care about that superstition.
Mm-mm.
But
That's true. They don't honor that one.
they don't honor that one. That one's one where money, yes, they like that money coming in. But
I actually have though seen it before where a dealer just said, hold on a second, like held them off. I think it was like a good tipping table, good, everyone was excited, good mojo, and they were just like, hold on just a second, I'll take care of you. And then they kind of let at least the roll in. They didn't, it was just like, right, it was just a bad moment. Like,
Right.
Don't do it right now. Just, 30 seconds from now, I'll take care of you. But
yeah, I told you my biggest one on that one was not DiceCon this year, but DiceCon last year. I went to, with Bonnie Boo and I, we went up to Tahoe to, head on up there to check out all things Tahoe. And we were playing over there, and it was kind of a pricey table. And I was playing small ball. It was a $25 table for me. And I was I think I was on roll 13 or 14 or something. And they had the repeater bets over there. And I just needed one more whatever. And everybody was all over that. There's so much money on that table. And this guy just walks up. He's right beside the stick guy. He throws two $100 bills right as the dice are going. My dice go through in between them. And, of course, here comes Big Red. And the two guys beside them, I thought they were going to have to, call the security to keep from beating the devil out of them. I mean, they went off on this guy so bad. It was unbelievable. And he's, well, I'm sorry, I didn't know. He said, what do you mean you didn't know? You saw all this money out here? And basically blaming him for the 7. And,
yeah, I've seen people get irate and raise their voice. I never seen someone actually punch someone, get physically assaulted yet. I've heard of it. Now, what brings that to mind is actually this week, I don't know, within the last couple of days, there was someone in my comments for, I think it was an etiquette video or something like that, or 7 rules, which you should and shouldn't do at the craps table. I'm pretty sure I mentioned, no mid-roll buy-ins. And the guy was like, how dare you tell people when to buy in? It's not a big deal. The dealers can take care of it quickly. And like you said, of course they'll take care of it. I mean,
yeah,
they don't care. That's part of the game. But he was like offended, like, you shouldn't be telling people when you can't buy in. I'm like, you can certainly buy in, do whatever you want. I'm just talking about etiquette of the game.
Yeah, it's courteous to the other people. It's a fast-moving game.
Yeah.
And the 7's coming anyway. It's always coming, even on the longest roll.
1 in 6 times, yeah.
Yeah, it ends with a 7. So just wait to the 7 and get your spot.
But
I think some people are afraid they're missing out on the hot roll.
Yeah, like he followed up. He goes, you can't just stand by. You've got to buy in when you buy in. And you just do not teach people or tell people when and when not to buy in. I'm like, I'm just teaching etiquette. Do with it as you want. And I want to say, like, continue to do that and expect to get punched in the face one of these times. But I've never seen that yet. And I'm not going to say, oh, someone's going to yell at you, because the guy who's arguing with me in the comments is be like, I don't care if some guy yells at me, which is true to a point. I get it, but it just comes down to etiquette. But, as far as superstition, I mean, yeah, you talking about turning the tide or bad mojo is someone buys in, and 1 in 6 chance that happens.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. Yeah.
Because I've certainly seen it happen so many times, and obviously the 7 didn't roll. Everyone's like,
sure.
But
break but it's like it's back to the baseball thing. You don't, when the guy's working on the mound, he's working his pace. You don't slow him up. No rain delay.
Betting the don'ts is for some reason a superstition for people. Maybe it's not a superstition. It's just like, it's like, how dare you bet against me? Which, if you know the game, it's not. You're both betting against casino, but
it's not. Yeah, it's not. I've seen. I don't know, the ones that I've seen when I first started playing. I didn't understand the whole don'ts. And by the way, I got a nice payout chart here on the true odds behind me, but I did not understand it. And then those few times when I played, there was this guy with big stacks of chips on the don't and with the odds and everything. And one of the guys were taking the dice and when they threw him and were trying to knock his chips down after everything. So it was just making it miserable for the dealer and everybody else, because he was the guy was kind of obnoxious when 7 rolled too, because he was like, yeah, let's go. It was, so anyway, the whole don't thing is not a superstition. It's just understanding that there are 2 different ways to play, if you will. It's one force.
I actually have a story from this week. I have a story from this week. Yeah, I forgot I played this week. A club member came to town.
Excellent.
And so we were playing at the Peppermill, a $5 game in the morning. So we went over there and had some fun. And there was a don't chunker. So he was there before us. I don't know what he was or wasn't doing. But we both came up to the table, and I don't know if he was down or up, but he took about $1,000 chunk right there on the don't pass.
He definitely doesn't believe in beginner's luck.
No. So I rolled, I think the point was a 9. 2 rolls later, knocked him off. Woo. And he just walked away. And then me and Gary kept playing. It was Gary, a club member. 20 minutes later, so I don't know if that's ATM, which I don't think so, because he came back with 2,000. Or if it was bank, a local bank, because usually, there's a limit on how much, or maybe he just went to the cage. So he comes back with 2,000. He puts a big chunk down. No, so it was like mid-roll. I mean, the dice had went around the table a couple times, and it was back to me again. It was mid-roll, so at the Peppermill, there's not a don't come. It's just one don't pass / don't come bar.
Okay.
So his mid-roll, he just chunked it down. My very next roll was a 5. Bet moved to the 5. Very next roll was a 5. He lost.
My gosh!
He lost like $600, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" So the puck was off. He had, I don't know, 1,500 left. He chunked down about half of it on the don't. I rolled a come out 7. Took another 750.
Oh my gosh!
And then I rolled a number. And I don't know, his last $750 or whatever, approximately 1,000, big stack of green. And he was pacing around the pit area, and 6 rolls later hit the point, and he just walked out the casino. So it was like, I don't know, he may have seen 10 rolls, but he lost $3,000. Just don't. The one time I did hit his stack, I think it was the come out 7. It hit his stack.
Were you weren't aiming for it, though?
No. I was just, me. I just wing him down there. And, it hit his stack and ended up 7. And like, 7 out line away for him.
Well, at least they didn't have to restack it.
No, it was very easy for them just to swipe it away.
Stick the whole thing. Man, that's a good one,
but it was kind of interesting. I mean, he's obviously not superstitious. I think he's like, hey, the 7's going to come. This is like an easy win, which I have no problem with. You're just betting one way or the other. It's just anyway. So yeah, I would say maybe we have it listed as superstition, but it's probably not a superstition. It's just a different way to play the game. But the superstition part of it might be where people get upset when the other people do it, and you really shouldn't be.
Yeah, you shouldn't. But do you talk to the don't players if one's standing beside you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I talk to them.
Just like any other player, yeah. Just like, hey, how's it going? You doing? You up? You down? You doing good? How's that working for you? Or, if you know them a little bit better, you can rib them a little bit. Oh, got knocked off again, huh? Or whatever. Although sometimes it's me. Sometimes I'm the don't player, so a little bit, So.
But yeah, it's not really superstition. I don't think.
What about counting chips at the table? You ever heard of this one?
I saw it on one of the lists that I was looking for. I haven't seen that one in practice, but I see everybody count their chips all the time, and rack management and all that stuff that we talk about and you talk about in your videos. So I don't see why that's
I don't see that one much. Maybe that's like an old school leftover one or something, but
it sounds like it's something out of an old Kenny Rogers song or something. Counting your money at the table kind of deal. Yeah,
don't count your chickens before they're hatched. Don't count your chips before they're cashed, type thing. But yeah, that I've seen it on multiple lists, but I've never really. And I guess it's focus on the game versus on your chips, but obviously it doesn't affect anything. But
no, it doesn't, and I don't think it makes it any kind of, none of that stuff makes a difference. But I do think it's the mojo of the table. Like, I've never had somebody say, you shouldn't be counting your chips at the table.
Yeah, right.
I didn't even know that was one until
Yeah.
I started looking into the list and all. But the next one on the list is very interesting to me. It's dealer disagreements.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what do you think about dealer
If there is, I'm not a superstitious guy either, but if there is anything that gets me, changes my mood or alters me any, it is the dealer disagreement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think that, because the dealer disagreement is happening, that the seven's necessarily going to happen. It's just like bad mojo at the table. This just kind of sucks, because it's like it almost always it's like, hey, I had $1. I had $1 on the 3-2 hop.
Yeah.
Not the 3-3 hop.
It's always the stupid stuff.
Yeah, it's like, I had $4 on the hard 6, not $3. Which is a difference of $7-8 or whatever.
I love the disagreement when the small hits. Oh, I was up 1-1-1, or what? Check the cameras.
Yeah,
That's a 1-1-1. This is like, what are we talking? $30 or whatever. It's like, stop it.
And to a degree, if you're like shorted on payouts and it happens, they're dealers and they make mistakes. Sure. You do kind of you can't just be like, oh well, I'll just take that one and be out shorted $30. You do have to say something, but it's, I don't know how to avoid it, but it does seem weird when it's over $1.
Well, I'll tell you what I've noticed is when you're tipping, when you're tipping at the table and playing, and you make that suggestion, and say it's a small thing like $1, a missed payout or something like that, or I forget to make a come bet or something, they'll look over sometimes at the box man, and he'll say book to bet or whatever. Just kind of keeps things positive and keeps things moving.
Yeah, it seems like the more experienced dealers, or depending on the casinos, I think it's like some of them will give like the front line, the dealer, some leeway or authority just to make a decision to pay or not pay. Mm-hmm. And then some will be like, hey, at least look over at the box. Hey, it's cool. He says I owe him 45. Should I pay him? Yeah, just pay him. And, and then some new people don't, new dealers are like, what do they don't get that leeway or the authority to make that decision. So it's usually the boxman. But a good box will be like, it probably, he kept an eye on it and he knows, hopefully, or it's like, let's just move along. No big deal.
We're going to argue about $45 and there's $4,500 on the left side of the table and $3,800 on the right side. And let's keep this game moving. Right.
We've got customers with $10,000 here. Let's just give them $30 and we'll, So I do appreciate that, and some are better at it than others, but yeah, so it's not necessarily superstition. It's just like it's mostly those $1 or $2 things. It's like, my gosh, and they're like, no, and argue, and I'm like, wait a minute, we've been here for 3 minutes, like, and then I get it. Someone give the guy $5 and let's move on.
Yeah, move on. That's what I feel too. But the next one is a one that always slows everything down. The chip refill,
yeah.
And like, what kills me is like, you'll wait around for a couple hours to open the table. They'll open up the table.
10 minutes later, right?
10 minutes later on a long roll. Here they go. I was like, if the rack is full, what are you talking about?
Yeah, they're like, well, we're recounting, and I have no idea how it works.
I've never understood it. I've only been at a table one time when we ran out of chips, and that was because me and the other guy had all the green chips. And they literally ran out of the green chips. They were all in our racks, the left and the right. And, some of the other people had them. But I agreed with that, Phil. And actually, I sold them back. Hey, let me buy 1,000 in green from you. I was like, oh, cool. I felt like really cool on that one.
Yeah, I've certainly seen it where amazing 2 rolls in a row, and like they're short all their red and green. And it's like, yeah, fill makes sense. But sometimes it's like, wait, you just chunking down these things and recounting and like filling out some paperwork, and it's like you didn't do hardly anything. But for me, I don't really care. And some will play around it, and some will just completely stop the table.
Oh, I've seen the table stopped a lot of times, but yeah, I've seen it both ways. But when it stops, that's when everybody starts.
Yeah, and then the 7, of course, happens 1 out of 6 times, and then everyone's like, "Come on, why are you filling now? Why'd you have to screw with us?"
Or the what's the other one? The stick man. They'll tap the, when they're rotating people around. That's another one people get amped up about.
Yeah, that one is like the cocktail waitress for me, because they're like, "No, stick change," and I've actually done that for fun, but it's like, if you know how they work, it's like, guess what? It happens every 20 minutes.
You can set your watch on it.
Yeah, it's like they have work rules. Like it's just how they do it. So it's like, for one, if you have been rolling for 20 minutes and they're doing a stick change on you, good on you, right?
Yeah,
because you've had a heck of a roll. But they're not sending in the cooler, which I think we have somewhere in our list. But it's not a cooler. It's just, hey, they rotate every 20 minutes, or maybe 25.
I've just never understood the stick man one either, but the chip one, though, I think they are trying to do something.
Oh yeah, you think so?
If you're on a long roll or something, I think they are. I mean, that just might be me. I don't know.
Well, coolers in general, right? So it's people who they're brought in to interrupt the game. What do you think about that? You think it's legit?
I think.
There's been a whole movie about it.
Yeah, I think I think it's like we have superstitions. I think the casinos have superstitions, and whatever it is, they want to do something to kind of break the routine of the person who's winning. They see a lot of chips coming this way. I think they're going to do something to change it, and whether it makes sense on the business side of things or the player side of things. I think they just do it because you feel like you have to do something. You're right. They made a movie out of it, that kind of thing, and they're talking about, just doing anything to just kind of slow people up, or go talk to, they'll stop and go talk to the shooter and say, "Hey, would you like to, get the such and such credit plan or whatever?" It's like, no.
I think certainly during the mafia days, right, when they were kind of running town. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not such a thing now that it's corporate, because in corporate they just go off the numbers and they go, nothing's going to affect our house edge. We're still raking in the money. Yeah. But it is interesting. It is interesting that a lot of players will say the dealer or the stick person's trying to screw me, and I don't get that. Like the box suits in general, those guys are on salary, maybe, because they don't want to lose a bunch of money. But dealers are dealers. They get paid minimal, and then they work off of tips. There's no dealer that I know of that is like, "Hey, we want MGM for you not to have a bad roll." They're not on the corporate side. They're on your side, open to get tips. So it is weird in the comments when I see people are like, "Yeah, the dealer's always trying to screw the shooter, or the stick man's always trying to screw them up by rotating the dice." I'm like, no, for one, we talked about this earlier, they're trying to get off the 7. For 2, they want you to win and tip. Like they're not the man, right? They're, if anything, they're on your side, their side.
Yeah, I would say so, because the winners are tipping.
Yeah.
Losers don't tip. When that guy, that you knocked out on those don't bets, he certainly didn't tip anybody.
No, he walked out with $3,000. He just chunked it on the line, so no tip for anyone. So
that's true, I think, on that one. Well, let's get into the other thing. Let's go into the why. I know we got a few more probably to hit, but why are superstitions such a part of the game of craps? Because I know we talked earlier, in its current form of the game, it's been around since, what would you say, 1909, 1907 or something?
Yeah, like the Win guy kind of created the layout like 1907 or something like that. Okay. Or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why do you think it's around the game of craps? Why do we have these superstitions? Is it just because we're just people in general and we just do it with gambling too, or?
Well, I mean, unless you're a hardcore dice influencer guy that thinks you can control the dice, it comes down to luck. Is the 7 going to roll or not? So anytime we don't have control, and it's just based off of luck, which is what? Universal chance, like there is no explanation. It's just, well, there is an explanation. It's called math, right? Like all the weird stuff, like stars and all the mythical. It's all math. These scientists can break it all down math for you. Gravity and pull but yeah, when it comes down to luck or the math, like once we lose control, we know that we assume that there's outside influences that are affecting
something else that will control it.
Right. So if we're not controlling it, what is? Something is, and it's got to be the cocktail waitress or the distraction or the, whatever. So I guess that's why it's such a big deal in craps. It's just because, like, man, and because so many of us love dice control and tossing, it's like we want that control so badly, and yet, dang it, these weird things interrupt us or happen. It's got to be, how do we explain this? There's got to be an explanation. It can't just be random chance or luck. So it's like we got to know what is controlling it. So we assign some sort of control.
How about this one? When one of the dice hits the chip. That's the. It's like when I'm throwing and I'm a random shooter and everything, and then I hit the chip, and then I get big red coming out. It's a 7. I'm like, oh my gosh! If I would have only not hit the chip, it wouldn't have done it. But then I think, well, wait a minute. There's a 1 in 6 chance, even if I didn't hit the chip. Yeah, it would have been whatever.
That's too logical of you to think of the 1 in 6. And at the moment, you're like, oh, but you have the shooters who are like, hey guys, come on, move your chips down there at my landing zone, or some people are like, oh, so and so shooting, we got to move our chips because this is where he likes to land, and and then if you sat there and kept track all day, okay, hit the chip. Was it a 7? Hit the chip? No, it wasn't.
Not a 7. Yeah.
The math is probably going to be a little more telling, but we certainly remember those instances. So
now, that's going to be one other thing I'm going to mention. You mentioned about moving chips for landing zones because I don't want anybody think I'm against the DIers or whatever.
Yeah.
If you ask me to move my chips on the table, I'm happy to do that for you. I admit when I first started playing, I didn't know. I would move it the wrong way or whatever.
Right.
It's like, but I mean. They would say, no, you need to move it this way. Oh, okay. So, but then again, the responsibility is on the influencer not to hit my chips in the new spot, So eventually, if you're on that hook over there, you're moving around. So, but yeah, I'm pulling for everybody on that. But yeah, chip moving around, you got to, if somebody asks you to do that, that's a superstition thing. I'll move it. I mean, have you ever seen anybody not move it? Somebody request?
Yeah, I've seen a don't player. He's like, screw you. This is where my chips go.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Then you got the.
Because they're.
The forces.
Yeah, exactly. And then they're like, oh, you jerk. Blah, 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 and then, move on. But yeah, I have seen that where they're like, they refuse to. And it's just because those are kind of anti people. Not always, but. Sometimes a don't person will be, especially those you mentioned earlier, those ones who are yelling, which we'd never even mentioned.
What's that?
The big one is yelling or saying 7.
Oh, yeah. How did we skip that one?
That's probably
the number one.
The number one is.
And I honor that one. I'll honor that when somebody comes up and they're asking how to play or something. I'll whisper, we're trying to roll the 6 before the 7.
Okay, so you whisper it. Okay. Yeah. Or you say the bad number.
But I don't say it
okay.
So others can hear. But I respect that. I'm not yelling 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. I'm not spitting in the wind.
Yeah.
Pulling on Superman's cape. I'll honor the silliness of it because that's part of the game. It's just like baseball and stuff like that. We were talking about superstitions and that. It's kind of weird that we glossed over that one.
Yeah, but it is probably the biggest one is you don't want to hear it. You don't want anyone to say it because it will cause the 7 to roll.
I don't know. Maybe the wind.
I mean, that's
in
the
your
thought,
mouth.
right?
Yeah.
Like, or you just
Name it and claim
that's
it.
how
kind of
that's how
thing.
that's how the game ends. So you just don't talk about how the game. You don't talk about death. You don't talk about how the game ends. I mean, I guess. So that kind of leads us into etiquette. Really, is the difference between superstition and then etiquette. I guess you kind of say it in the form of, hey, by respecting someone's superstition is etiquette.
I think so.
Kind of, right?
I think so. I mean, as long as your crazy superstition isn't putting everybody out or something like that, or it's fine. Whatever your superstition is at the craps table, we all have belly buttons. We all have opinions. I'm kind of, bet any way you want, play any way you want, that kind of thing. I just I think that when you're honoring the superstitions, then they might honor some of the things that are important to you, which are not being a jerk to the dealer, not screaming and yelling, and people, just causing fights and arguing about stupid stuff. Those are the big things for me. Is the positive mojo of the table, and that's again why I love when I go to the casino. I love having at least 1 or 2 or 3, or when we go with the color up club, 10 stickmen beside you, who everybody's kind of looking out for everybody. Hey, Jim, you forgot your cum bet, or they didn't pay you, or you didn't pay you, or whatever it is that we're going, because it really is you against the casino, and the game is stacked against you. Everything about it, and if you can walk away with a few extra bucks, that's always a nice thing. And you need every break that you can get to go your way to do that, basically. And you need to not do stupid stuff to yourself.
Yeah, for I would say the majority of us are there and want to have a good time.
Yes.
There are, the few that are like, I'm going to argue over my dollar because I'm here to win my $100 a day and make a living. Or,
Right.
they're like, I do this as I don't know, but I think that's the minority. They're like,
Yeah,
I'm here
it's
for my
very
daily
few of
paycheck.
those.
It's
Yeah,
most
it's
of
very
us
few.
are like, yeah, I'm here to have a good time, hopefully to win some money, and good vibes, good feels, and
Now, with you being a local and going to a whatever casino you think is your local or your favorite one there in Reno, I think a lot of times the locals, when you're a guest into town, I think when I go in and like the dealer knows everybody's name. Hey, Frank, how you doing? And they haven't even got their card out yet. You're dealing with a local, and that's a regular kind of deal. When I see that is, they seem to get a lot more respect, and not more respect, but they're more courteous to them, I think, a lot of times, and because they have a history with the people, and they know they're going to see them, and they know their boss, and they know the box person, they know the guy running in the back and all that kind of stuff. So I think when you have a regular, like when you're a regular at your place, do you feel like you get a little more swag than everybody else who's just walking in new?
Yes and
you're
no.
different because you're color up, but I mean, just what do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I there is certainly a dynamic when you're talking about a locals casino and a strip casino, for instance. Those are like the biggest separation.
Extremes, yes.
A strip casino's mostly tourists, so you encounter a lot of beginners, a lot of people who don't know etiquette, so they're breaking all these things, which are causing superstitious problems.
Right.
And so you'll find like the regular people may or may not like those and go and choose to go to local casinos where they know the other players, they know the dealers, they feel like they're at home or getting treated well. And, the game's respected better than on the strip. So there is location does, I think, affect this because of clientele. And Reno's a little of a weird spot because it's like a mix of local and touristy. here in Reno. So it's not quite all new, fresh strip people because the locals do have to mix in, but it's also not, Silver Sevens 2 blocks off of the strip, or
So
it's not the Jerry's Nugget or whatever it's called. Where it's all just locals. Where in those places also there's room for the locals to get a little more vocal and cause a little more trouble too. You see that.
So because they have a relationship and a rapport with them already.
Yeah, so you see that. So it kind of goes both ways, because sometimes in the local ones, it's like there's guys that'll get angrier easier than the public ones, where people just don't. A lot of them are so new and stuff. They don't know any better. They don't know these superstitions. They don't know to get mad or whatever. They're just like, whatever. I'm blowing my $300 in
like
10 minutes.
Kind of like a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Because there's so many new players on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if what your thoughts were on the locals there.
Yeah, it's just here's this town is a weird town in that aspect. So it's different. I don't know how to explain it, but
okay.
I would say, depend to where you go. It does affect a lot of this. What we're talking about today is superstition and etiquette, how it's treated because of the clientele. How aware are they of these superstitions?
And so, other than watching color up videos, which I'm sure many people do, where's the best place to find out about etiquette? Like, can you find out about etiquette in the casino? Like, is there?
No, there's no posted rule. It's not really. So that's why you can't. Be careful. Don't be picking on the new guy, because a lot of this is unspoken rules, right? I don't know a lot about baseball, but I know there's the unspoken rules. So it's more like you pick these things up as you go along. So take it easy on the new person who didn't know that you can't buy in, right? Like they probably learned their lesson, right? Especially if it was a 7 and someone gave them a yell, they won't do it again. But yeah, it's one of those things, like some of it's just common sense. I would think, like, why is everyone pissed because the cocktail waitress came around? But some of it, you just don't know any better. I mean, I need cash on the table to play. If I buy mid-roll, I don't, So I don't blame them necessarily, and it's just things you kind of pick up, just being around the game.
So
like,
the more you play, the more you kind of pick up on this and that. Maybe you meet somebody who can at the table coach you up a little bit, that kind of thing. So who would know to ask same dice, right? That's a silly superstition thing that just gets repeated. Well, a guy 20 minutes ago asked for same dice. I guess I should get it. You see, like a newish player or a lady, and she's like, same die. And like, why are you asking for the same die? Where'd you learn that? It's just, as humans, we like, well, we just. I like the one when they throw them off the table and then somebody says, are you going to ask for the same dice?
Yeah. Like, you want the same dice, right? Like,
dice, right?
I don't know. Sure. Yeah. Same dice. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of these things, these superstitions, is because they really don't affect the game, and they're just, a lot of them are unspoken rules, and so it's just, you pick it up the more you play, really. I mean, some books mention them. Obviously, I make specific videos on them, but yeah, if you it's just like you just pick them up and
roll with it. So
I'm sure there might be some new out there that maybe we don't, or that we're unaware of them. I could be breaking. Yeah. I could be breaking superstition. I don't know of them. One of them, the ones we didn't talk about, is blowing on dice. I don't think it's a thing anymore.
No, I think COVID kind of killed that, right?
It killed it, but I mean, I've been around been around the game 20 some years or whatever, and I've never seen that except for like in a movie. And like all the movies, they seem to do it, whatever. But I've never seen anyone in real life.
When I did some research on it, that goes back, I think, to New Orleans.
Okay.
And some of the Creole cultures about, again, exerting control, blowing on the dice to get good results, that kind of thing.
Okay, that's
So
where it came from.
That's where it came from for the research that I did on one of the 27 tabs that's open across my computer.
Yeah. And we have to thank the Creole or the French kind of Mississippi Delta areas, kind of where it came into America.
Yep.
The game, I guess, from Hazard to Crabs and the French, and then, like you said, came in through that area. So
and they brought some of the superstitions with the Army, that Hazard game with the French and the English game of it. So some of that stuff was already in there. I don't know if the don't say seven is part of it or what. I couldn't find anything about what particular superstitions were related specifically to Hazard. Everything I found was dealing with craps, But yeah, it's pretty wild. But we definitely have some biases built into our mind, but we'll all suspend them. It's like when you go to the movie theater, you have suspension of disbelief. You have to suspend that you are in a movie theater. You have to think that you are going back in time or going forward in time, and you're at that place. That kind of stuff. So, same thing at the craps table. You kind of gotta, hey, this is the world that we're in, and we'll go with it.
Do you? Do you think I'm trying to think of the game without superstition. Like, do you think it adds or subtracts to the game, these superstitions?
I think it adds in the sense that it's another thing that kind of puts people together. You know what I mean? It kind of like gets all the ducks in a row. So I do think it adds in that sense, like the not saying seven and the whether it be etiquette or whatever the little thing is about moving moving the chips for the guy who wants to have the landing zone, that kind of thing. I think all that it's good harmony for the game. It's good mental thing, and whether the nice positive mental atmosphere has anything to do with it or not. But I'll tell you, I've never been at a table where people are yelling and screaming, where everybody's winning money in a nasty way. I mean, I've heard, woo, we won, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like arguing with the dealer, arguing with the other players, move your chips, you're not going to move mine or whatever. Never been at a winning table with that. In fact, what I usually do is after
that you know of. Remember, we're talking a lot of this confirmation bias, so maybe not.
I don't
but it
think
seems
so.
like.
But I'll tell you this: I will, to avoid the conflict or whatever, I'll go to another table, even if I'm if it's one table, I'll color coming in, I'll go hang out, eat with the wife or whatever, and then go try again after the jerk butts have left, that kind of thing. I just won't play with them. Just have no desire to it. And again, you're right, confirmation bias. When am I, if the guys are arguing at the table, when do you color up? At the end of the roll, and it's usually not when the guy hit the point. It's, with the yelling and screaming, that it's usually, hey, 7 out. All right, color coming in. So you're right. I just said it. But in your mind, that's confirmation bias on it.
Yeah.
I'm like reliving it, and it's my personal experience.
Yeah.
So you can't argue with it, Jeremy. That's
right.
So.
But if we tracked on a piece of paper the times, you may be worse off if you leave these bad tables. But
it's true.
But who knows? Yeah.
Who knows on that?
So what? I mean, yeah, it is. I think it is. Superstition is good for the game as far as like group think. It gets us all together as a team. Like, yeah, guys, if we all just don't say 7, we can control it a little bit.
How about this one? Like the ATS, we didn't talk about that one. When all they need is the 9, or all they need is a yo or something. You're not talking to the shooter, but we're all saying, give me a yo.
Everyone's on that yo or that midnight.
We're not saying it, but we're putting your money where it is. So
yeah,
that's funny. That's funny. But we do things like that. But yeah, it's good for the table harmony. Definitely gets us together, group think, like you said. That's 100%. I think it also is part, and I know I'm looking down toward some of the highlights there, but it definitely adds to that experience. It really does.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. It's just
a social game.
Yeah.
You're not sitting at a slot machine, just you and the machine. You're at a table with everybody. It'd be like playing a slot machine, and we're all sitting around in circles, and they're all around us, kind of thing. Yeah, you got your money on the table, but it'd be nice to see other people right there winning it too.
It's social human aspect. And, it reminds me of when some people complain about how long it takes people to set the dice, or they roll the dice backwards and stuff. And they're like, come on, just roll the dice. But for me, you got to get out of that mentality. It's like, this is a social game. That guy's having a blast. He's trying to control whatever he can with his superstition or ritual. Like, just let him at it. I mean, just embrace it. Like, you're not going to stop it. You're not going to be like, guy, set the dice in 3 seconds and get rid of him. Like, no, he's still going to do his drop the dice ritual or whatever. That's just his thing. So embrace it and just be like, part of the game. That guy does that weird thing. The next person is going to do some other weird thing. And that's what's great about it. Cause it's just human socialness, and we can't get away from that.
Yeah.
So
I as a new player, it's funny you told that you just mentioned that about messing with the dice. I was at Cherokee on one of the first times when I was playing, and really like gone there with a purpose. Okay, I got a plan, and this guy was on this monster roll, and he was like 30 plus and hit the ATS, but every time he'd like roll it, and shake him up, roll it, and then pick 2 out, and I was up probably $2,000 at the point or something, and I leaned over to the guy next to me. I said, I know I'm up $2,000 with this guy, but I gotta admit it's kind of irritating to me that he's doing all this stuff with the dice. And the guy looked at me and said, I don't care if he rubs it on my belly. And he keeps shooting. He said, keep your comments to yourself. And I was like, okay, dude. Yeah, but it's funny. True.
It's a little easier to go like, I'll just accept his weird. Put up with it when he rolls 20 versus rolls 3, right? It's like when he takes 3 minutes to roll, 0.7 out. It's a little, it's a little different story. But yeah, it's like rolling 20. I don't care what he does.
Yeah, it's just like, hey man,
let the guy run a lap around the casino.
Rub him under his arms. I don't care.
Yeah, do whatever you want with it. All right. Any final comments that we haven't covered on superstition? And then we'll go ahead and jump to the monster roll. See what our live viewers have to say about it. But
no, I think you've summed it up. It's good for the traditions. It's good for the experience. Respect for fellow players, all that, shared culture, and then superstition as a strategy. We haven't. Maybe we should do a video on superstition strategies.
Yeah, fair enough. It's like see a 7 or see a horn, bet a horn. It does apply in a lot of things. The 7s do, so you got to regress, or all these things are not math based; they are superstition based. Yeah. So that might be another good episode. All right, good one this week, Jim. And till next time, I guess. Good luck on coloring up.
Au revoir.
Yeah, we got a few here in the comments, and we understand we're competing with the old pigskin game, and switching the channel over new. I don't think, Jim, that we ever got. I think Facebook
pop up.
Yeah, it said it was connecting the whole time and it never did. I don't know what happened there.
I can't get the chats to come up on mine. You're supposed to.
You mean in Riverside?
On the chat button, right? Yeah, I'm on Riverside.
Yeah, click on chat, and then the top button is live stream chat. And then you should say studio chat, and then we can have a direct chat. It probably says Jeremy.
No, I see. It says studio chat. There it goes.
There you go.
And then click on that again. Nope. Oh, there's an arrow. Here we go. Boom. I see what you just brought up.
Yeah, I just brought up the very latest. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. There's actually a few after that. Feels related to them knowing that I'll tip Jenner. Oh, I lost the comment.
Is that you?
No, I have it set on a timer. It goes away after 10 seconds. Butch says he enjoys watching other people's rituals. Yeah, I mean, it kind of has to do with if the, it does get irritating if there's a ritual and then they hit 0.7 out, but it makes it a little easier to digest. But you really should get in the mentality of just enjoy the game and enjoy the human aspect of it.
Absolutely.
Zuli said it would be like playing bubble craps if we didn't have that human aspect, I think is what he's referring to.
100% agree on that one. Yeah, I don't like the bubble craps for that reason. It's more
very sterile.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, it's like playing a slot machine.
Yeah, you could play it on your phone or something. It's not. Yeah, it's just a.
It's not the same game on that. Let's see.
Tom said everybody at the table is dealing with high anxiety, some, and looking for excuses or something to blame when everything goes bad. It is true that we are looking for excuses, right?
We're looking for blame because it's not you and your stupid bet or stupid strategy. It's never me on my stupid bet or stupid strategy.
Right, it's someone else.
Somebody else.
Someone else is screwing me.
Yeah.
They're screwing me. I wouldn't say everyone has high anxiety, but when you got money on the line, it's like that's part of the gambling, right? It's like, am I going to win? Am I going to lose? So some of us aren't addicts and can just, I'm just gambling and having a good time. If I lose the $20, big deal. I can afford it. Some people, it is a little more high anxiety than others.
It's proportional. Yeah, it's proportional. Let me see if I can get this comment to go. You're supposed to click on it. How do you do the
I know. I think last week you weren't able to because you're not the host or something.
I'm definitely not the host. Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because I'd rather you bring up comments, but just read it out.
From William said, kind of depends on how much the shooter is interacting with the table, chatting, etc. Right? I've seen shooters. He's right, William. I don't know if you're still around, and you posted that a little bit ago, but I've seen shooters like talking to people and on the other side of the table, hey man, let's go, and they're just putting on a big show with that one. So yeah, whether you talk to them or not, I've seen other people say, let's go, let's get that midnight, and that's all we need. So yeah, it depends on whether you talk. If they're talking to me, I'm talking back. So.
Yeah, because I think I've been with you. It's like when you're shooting, it's like, hey, you hit some high five or whatever, because that's whatever the shooter is putting out, you kind of pick up, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and Pouncer popped in and said hey to everybody, and so did Wary Buyer Ken. So hey guys,
thank you guys for stopping in.
Couple of color up people.
Zuli agrees with us. He doesn't like the table being held up by the $1 thing.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh! It's just like, dude. And then it's never like when it's on like. It had the $1 and he's parlayed it up to 27. It's always on the first level. It's always on level 1.
Right.
It's like, dude, come on. I'll give you a red and 2 white. Let's go on to the next. Get the man a hard 7 or whatever. Guy on table literally asked the dealers not to do a stick.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
Don't go on break. He's on a hot roll.
Right, like it's their option.
Yeah, it's like, dude, he's got to go to the bathroom. He's got to get some lunch. That's hilarious.
Now you'll see him go behind. They'll tap the dealer on, and they'll wait for the roll to finish or the payout to be done. But then they got to move along. They got to change out. So
and usually that stick is going to the other.
Yeah, he's going to position. I don't. Is that position 3 or 1? I don't know.
I can't remember. But yeah, they've got a rotation.
Yeah, he's going to the base. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see what else we got here.
Henry says to keep it up. This channel will grow.
There we go. Thank you for the nice encouragement there. So that's cool. And then Pouncer said he always makes friends with dealers, box, and floor to keep things moving smoother and more often. So, yeah, I think it's always nice to be positive and interact, but you got some people in there like, okay, hey, I'm here to rob the casino and all these guys are against me. And that's just, when I'm playing craps, it's just not the case on there. Let's see what else.
Henry asked, are the tables juiced? I had a guy in the comments today told me, hey, you got to think about it. I know they're doing something weird under the table or the felt. He said, I'd love for them to be putting a level on it more consistently like they do on roulette tables. And he's like, I know that they're shifting the angles and putting things underneath. I'm like, I mean, maybe.
Have you ever looked underneath the table? like a.
I mean,
I've looked.
Or like under the felt. I've seen them change the felts before.
I have not, like, I'm not talking about maybe necessarily what's underneath the felt, but I mean under the table. It seems like there's a lot of wires and stuff going over there, and I was just like, I don't see a lot of lights on this table, and I don't see a lot of.
No.
I guess some of the stuff, the wires are going for the little signs on
the signs. I guess there's the little, the input for comps.
Yeah.
Usually there's like a terminal.
Right.
But some people are like, wait, there is too many electronics going on for just a table.
There's a lot of electronics over there. But I mean, I'm suspicious about that.
What do you think is going on under there, Joe?
I don't know. I always make the joke about the magnets, but maybe that's why they don't want you to change the dice and get like a straight up plastic set. Maybe the plastic looks like plastic, but it's really a magnet in there. And that kind of thing. I don't know.
Oh, we got a disagreement. Okay, well, this is good. Let's see. Let's see. Appreciate people buying in between rolls, but I don't make a stink when people buy in mid-roll. Which, fair enough. Yeah, neither do I, because sometimes they don't even know.
Yeah.
And he also followed up with, he loves the Sunday Night Live color-up event, which I appreciate.
Oh, thanks, Ken.
The disagreement said, Tin Man right here says he disagrees. Wait to buy in when the puck is off. I don't know if he I mean, not that where he's saying you have to. He's just saying it doesn't bother him.
Yeah.
Like he would probably.
Well, you know what they say? I Tin Man is one of our Color Up Club members, and we sat beside each other, and I spent the first night at Ellis Island with him over there, and we kind of like partnered up when we flew out on the second leg. But you know what they say about the Tin Man, though, Jerry? I mean, Jeremy, he's got no heart. He got no heart. So he is like,
so maybe he's like, rules are the rules are the rules. Follow the dang rules.
Yeah. Follow the rules, man. But yeah, he's happy. The Bills won. Let's see. Probably get upset players started. Yeah, that's true. I've gone under there to get dice before, that kind of thing. But yeah, they just like they don't want you walking on the other side, they don't want you going underneath too much either.
Where he says just because he's paranoid doesn't mean the casino is out to get him. Which
exactly, it could be a coincidence. It could be a coincidence.
Of course they're out to get you. Of course they are. They're doing everything they can. Send in the coolers. Send in the coolers. We got to stop this hot streak. All right, this was a fun one. We're slow on comments just because we don't have the viewership we had on the other channel, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. Baby steps, baby. Baby steps.
But it's definitely fun. I did talk to my team member who's in charge of my podcast over at Sports Grid. So he said, hopefully this week they'll start posting, and then they'll give me a time frame when we can start announcing that they're, hitting all the podcast platforms.
Okay.
So we're moving the ball down the field, I guess, a little bit. And that's that.
Okay. Well, bye, everybody. Hopefully we said hey to everybody and we got all the comments in, because there are a bunch of them. Yeah,
and it looks like I think the system somehow messed up Facebook, which is my fault.
Yeah.
But that's all right. All right. You guys have a good night.
Bye.